evening, ladies and gentlemen, and it is such a pleasure to welcome you back to Moksha Talks episode 10 in conversation with Ratnaboli Ghosh and Soma Roy. Today we will be discussing the changing face of aesthetics in a Bengali wedding, and we are calling it Shubho Bibaho, Auspicious Wedding. A very close friend of mine, in her own inimitable style, said it sounds a little too much like a suspicious wedding. So, with the due apologies to people who plan to get married, this is Shampa Mukherjee on behalf of Moksha Talks, thanking TCA for allowing us to host these talk shows here. Thank you very much, Ramanjit, Anjum, and all the people who are associated with the Creative Arts Academy. Ratnaboli Ghosh studied in Loreto College, Loreto House, then Loreto College, and then Calcutta University for her post-graduation, and has been a teacher all her life. They both have been teachers all their lives, and so have I. You know, we are a teachers of the world unite kind of thing. Yeah, I know. Her mother, Prativa Sen Gupta, who was a student of Kala Bhaban, Shantiniketan, had been taught by Nandalal Bose, Kinkar Baij, among others, and later she became an art teacher at Lady Irwin School, Delhi, Dowhill Girls School, Kurseong, and Loreto House, Calcutta. Needless to say, her mother was a major influence on Ratnaboli's art training. Here is Yael, who apparently was one of her mother's favorite students, and I completely understand why, because she's such an artist and such a skilled one at that. Since the time she was 8 years old, she has been painting Biyer Alpona, Biyer Piri, you can see it all around the room, decorating brides with chandan, designing and creating Tattwa shuchi, and designing wedding cards. All these are part of the Shubho Bibaho repertoire. Additionally, she has been regularly drawing Alponas for festive occasions such as Lakshmi Pujo, Kaali Pujo, Durga Pujo, Diwali, Holi, Bhaiphota, Nabo Barsho, and all the other festivals that we celebrate right through the year. Her new experiences include Alpona at Raj Bhaban, Netaji Bhaban, Vivekananda Bhaban, hotels, churches, and temples. She has thoroughly enjoyed the workshops with children that she has done in different schools. Can we please have a round of applause for her? Soma Roy has done her school education from Lamati near Kolkata and then went to Government Art College, Kolkata. And she has subsequently been an art teacher in various schools in Kolkata and Dubai since 1982 till date. And if I may add, her speciality actually is with the little children. I don't know how she, like the Pied Piper, works magic on them, but she does. And I've seen that happen, and she's wonderful with little children. That is not to say that she doesn't work with adults. She has trained students for various art competitions at the inter-school level, conducted wall painting sessions for children with special needs, produced a play with students of the primary section, designed props and costumes for school functions and exhibitions, conducted needlework and rangoli workshops for teachers. She has also designed advertisements at the art studio of Ogilvy Benson in Mathil, Kolkata. She has volunteered for NIAW, Sharadnoli Dutta Memorial, and some others. She too is an Alpona expert and very often gets invited or commissioned to beautify entrances, staircases, corridors, Durga Pujo mandaps, the works. Soma has been a childhood friend, and as far as I'm concerned, her skill basically is about how to use a cake which was meant for 20 and make it last till 40 people. So from the drawing room, we would frantically wave our hands so that she could, she immediately understood that there was a crisis situation, and then she would manage. Her crisis management began at that stage, and it continues during COVID in the building that she lives in, that's Shoptapurni. I call her the Mushkil Ashan, which means that she's the person that everybody contacts because she drives. She's an extremely empowered woman. And she's always there to help you. And I'm really grateful that I have a friend like that. Rather, thank you. I'm sorry, we're going to talk about a Bengali wedding and there is no food. So apologies. We cannot imagine a Bengali wedding without food. It's blasphemous, really. But that's what it is all about. The food, the sound, the noise, the family, the grandeur, the clothes, the jewelry, the decorations, as you can see all around you. And that is what makes a Bengali wedding and a one that one enjoys immensely. It's also about love, tradition, community, family, and what started out as essentially a family function where aunts and sisters-in-law and all of them came in and did all the work that people are going to be doing here, actually was done by family members. With time, over time, the family dispersed. People went away from the city, they went to other cities, they went to other countries. The whole disintegration process started. And then now when we have a wedding, it's no longer the same unless some families who are very lucky and everybody comes back and everybody comes in. And that is why we have a custom of save the date. So you're told 1 year before that there is a wedding in December, in January, so please make yourselves available. And I'm very happy to see that a lot of people do come, and it's a whole lot of fun when the family members are present. It is also about the increasing trend for the Bengalis to get married into non-Bengali families. So there is a lot of integration of culture. There's a lot of mishmash. So in a Bengali wedding now we also have a Sangeet, which we never had before. We also have Mehendi, a bride who wears alta and Mehendi. So this kind of intercultural, interstate mixing and mishmash, I think it's a very good sign. We talk about unity and diversity, maybe this is also one of them. And also with the arrival of the professional wedding planners and managers, I think it has become a lot easier for the father of the bride, the mother of the bride, or the father of the groom, etc. Because at least they have a contact point. They can tell that person that this is what we want, this is what we need arranged, and those things get done. Today we are here. We obviously can't cover all the aspects, and in fact there has been a Moksha talks on the changing face of norms and customs and how what used to be done before is no longer being done now. We worked with Nandini Bhomik, who does Shubha Mastu weddings, and she's done away with a lot of unnecessary rituals, and she's modernized the whole concept as per her research and her education. And she's doing very, very well, and that's what we talked about at that session. Today we are only going to be concentrating on the aesthetics of it because otherwise there won't be any time. First, Ratnaboli. She's going to take you through the skills of Alpona, and maybe a lot of you don't know this, but she appeared in Dadagiri, Saurabh Ganguly's Dadagiri, as the Alpona expert. I didn't know her then. And later on, when I realized who she was, I said, oh my God, this is someone I know. So it was a whole lot of fun. And apparently she also goes for morning walks and she paints people's staircases and entrances and she comes back home. I mean, I would love it if I open the door and I find Alpona right in front of my door. What a wonderful way to begin the morning. But then it's for her to tell you that story. Yes, Ratna.
Thank you. I'll begin with the Alpona history, in the sense, why Alpona? Alpona comes from the Sanskrit word alimpon, and it means to plaster, to cover, to coat. All right, so that's what it came from. it is, while I was reading up about Alpona, I found out some very, very interesting facts. One is that Alpona in Bengal, since this is an agrarian society, so it was only the women who always did the Alpona. And they had motives which had to do with, obviously, agriculture. So there was a lot of dhan and pata and all that, ghash, egulo diye aঁকা হতো. Now when this was done, there was, they used the most available material, which was rice. So rice paste, it was soaked overnight and it was ground into a paste, and they used it on their mud huts. Now, what they did first was they used a sort of slurry with cow dung and clay, and they cleaned the house, yes, because it has a disinfectant quality. And then, when they painted with this rice paste, the water would be absorbed by the clay, and just the rice would be left behind. And it was white. It looked so good. They did this every day, and especially so when there were guests. So this also automatically went on to Bhaiphota when their brothers would come. It went on to the weddings when the bride and their family would come. So all this. Now, Rabindranath in Shantiniketan decided that this is getting lost, as Shompa said. People started moving out of their own homes, and this art was getting lost. So he introduced this as a compulsory subject in Shantiniketan, which is why my mother learned Alpona. And the other day, I happened to be looking through, some of the old pictures, photographs of Shantiniketan, and I saw my mother doing Alpona. I was so excited. So she learned Alpona there. The difference between the rural Alpona and the Shantiniketan Alpona is that in the rural Alpona there are some specific motifs, okay, which are used for the brothos. Jokhoni fasting korto, tokhoni there was some special motive being used for the Alpona. I'm going to come back to the motives in Alpona because some of these are so interesting. And then these were getting lost. But Rabindranath said, no, don't stick to the old, the traditional motives. Do it artistically. That is what Soma does. Just look how beautiful it is. And of course, the butterfly is symbolic of the wedding because he is the god, the deity of the marriage. So these were utilized, but in a very modern form. This red second Piri, as you can see, that my mother painted. She painted it for my wedding, which was almost 50 years ago. So as you can see, the Shantiniketan touch is very obvious. Look at that and look at this, then you will see the difference. Okay? And coming back to the motives, in the south it is called kolam. And if you have ever seen them do their Alpona on the doorstep, they do it every day as well. It was done in like a grid, a square grid. And there were some specific designs, but very abstract. You know what they were? The constellations. Every 15 days the constellation changed and they would change their design. That's how Alpona, the kolam was done. Kolam, strangely enough, there is a village in Uganda who does kolam in the same way. Okay? In Uganda. Then there is the Parsis. When they came to Gujarat and settled there, they came from Persia, they didn't have any such tradition. But they learned from the local people and they call it chok. So this chok is a square. It can be in a diamond shape or a proper square, but it's a square. And again, they use these abstract forms. It started out with the constellations, but later on they did other designs. But they were done with powders, not a rice paste, no paste. The other thing was they put it into a roller with the design, and they rolled it along. So it was,
I've seen
so that's another way of doing Alpona. The other thing that of course, Rangoli. Whole of the north is doing Rangoli. Rangoli uses color. They use flowers, they use leaves, they use gulal, abir. So all this was used to do the Alpona. There is another one, I must tell you about it. This one. A student of mine is in Dublin. She's doing her PhD. She's a very good artist. And she said, she messaged me, Miss, I am doing Islamic geometric patterns. I said, how are you doing it? And she said, oh, I'm using the YouTube. I said, send me the link, even I will learn. And she said, ma'am, it's a little tough, but okay, I'll send you the link. It was tough, capital letters, because you used protractors and compasses and you measured and all this. So I went into the kitchen. I used a big bati and a choto bati. And she was so irritated. Miss, how did you learn this in one day? I said, you went to YouTube, I went to the kitchen. So that's another way of doing Alpona. The thing is with Alpona.
Can you just pick it up again?
Sure, absolutely.
It's really beautiful, isn't it? It's really beautiful.
So that's up to me. You can do it in any way you want. I use half circles and full circles.
And the other one looks like Venn diagrams also.
Half circle, like a bisected angle with a pair of compass.
You'll get it.
Yeah. That's what they are telling you to do. But I was too impatient. I didn't. And any of you who have been in Loreto House while my mother was there, you know all about the double lines and empty spaces. Because Ma taught Alpona this way. She said, you have a space. It can be round, triangle, square, or whatever. But that space you are going to divide into smaller parts. However you want to divide it. You can divide it into smaller shapes, or you can divide it with different motifs, but that is how you divide the space. But if you have all the motifs and all the spaces put together, then what happens is that they sort of get mashed up. So you can't make out what is the actual design. So then, she used to say, use, which one will I show you? Rija is there? Okay, yeah. Rija, will you please hold that up? Thank you. This is heavy. See, I've divided the rectangle into round and square and things like that, but I have used double lines and empty spaces to separate the various parts of the Alpona. So this is what Ma used to always teach, and there is no Loreto girl from those 32 years that she taught who does not know about the double lines and empty spaces. I even thought I'd write a book about her called Double Lines and Empty Spaces. Yael was a very favorite student of my mother's, so she knows all about it. But so, with Alpona, there were various motives, as I said, because for a wedding, since we are doing Shubho Bibaho, for a wedding, there was always the fish, there was the dhan, okay, the rice, the shankho, the diya, okay, diya actually because of the fire, and then this was actually my son's wedding card which I had designed. So I enlarged it to show it to you. Okay, so it is like this. As you can see, it's hot. Da Kala Patai Ampa Pollo. আমাদের লোরেটো কলেজে একজন নান ছিলেন, উনি সবসময় বলতেন আলপনা যখন দেবে, no, she would say it in English, when you do Alpona, please put some amropollo. So one day we were doing some decoration for some festive occasion, and she said, and one of the girls said, Ratna, we'll have to, Buri boleche ekta amro pollo bante hobe. From behind us she said, Buri kintu bangla boje. Amro pollab chhara alpona diye kono labh nei. So that was how it happened. So these are the motifs: fish, butterfly, gachkoutu where the sindoor was kept, dhan.
That one.
Eta tomar dorpon, which the bridegroom carries, fire, and the shank. There is also something called the kolmi lata. Jara kolmi shak khao jano, kolmi lata. This is the kolmi lata. Why that is part of the wedding, I don't know. I couldn't find out, but it is always a symbol that is used.
I think it's
Now-
because it's very easily available. That's what might-
Probably, but it also has, you see, like the fish, it's the increase and multiply kind of
Yeah.
Symbol of
symbol.
fertility and all of that.
Yes.
You can't get to the symbol of
So that is why. So this was that. You can use it in different colors, of course, as you can see. This is another card I had designed for Winnie. And Rija, may I call upon you to please show me this Tattwa Shuchi. Yeah. This is the Tattwa Shuchi which the trousseau which is sent. This was sent for my daughter-in-law, and okay. So, and the pages were, of course, you write what you are sending, and you can put other symbols in there. So this is a Tattwa Shuchi, again, a very much a part of the wedding.
Bengali wedding.
Yes, Bengali wedding. And today, when we are talking about these motives, we have specific motives for the wedding, as I told you. I will do some of them here. And we also have motives for, let's say, Saraswati Pujo, Bina, Hash, তারপর দোয়াত আর কলম। হ্যাঁ, তো these are for Saraswati Pujo. Lakshmi Pujo, of course, because you have Pacha, you have Lokhir Pa, আর হ্যাঁ পদ্ম ফুল, so the lotus, and of course rice. Now this will I'm going to use this to tell you exactly what happened, why I was doing Alpona all over the city, because I was doing Lokhirpa outside my mother-in-law's flat, and the opposite flat belongs to Mr. Mudar Patharia. Many of you know him. Now, Mudar was watching me. After a while he said, will you do it in front of my house as well? My flat? I said, sure. So I went off to do the Alpona. Stop me when I'm going to do it. So I started, then I said, he's a Muslim gentleman. Lokhirpa is a bit of a, shouldn't be done. So I did a floral design. And he came out and he said, this is just what I wanted. Wanted? Considering you hadn't seen it 15 minutes back. What do you mean you wanted? So he said, I'm going to call you in a few days, and will you come and do Alpona? I said, sure. So he called me and he said, will you be ready for me this evening? I said, yes. What time? 11:30 would be okay. I said, Mr. Patharia, 11:30 is not very suitable, is it? I mean, I go with you at 11:30 at night. He said, yes. So I took my daughter as a chaperone, and we went to his flat. This is a 10-story building. So this is near Menoka Cinema, and we started from the ground floor, and I did Alpona, small ones, on each floor. Rija, my daughter, she did the decoration with the diyas. It was Diwali the next day. And Mudar Patharia, he put up some greeting cards on every door. It was a very interesting time. We heard conversations which maybe we shouldn't have heard, but we did. Because this is midnight and we are doing the Alpona outside. Next morning, of course, people were excited and they sent all kinds of messages to Mudar, and Mudar sent me a screenshot of it, and he said, see, this is what I wanted. I wanted people to be excited over this. Because, as Shampa said, this is getting lost. This Alpona thing is getting lost. So he said, will you come with me? We'll do this all over the city. I said, yes, I'm there. So we went early in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and we did Alpona. 20 buildings in North Calcutta, 20 in South Calcutta. I'll just tell you about 2 incidents. They were remarkable experiences. One was, this was in Shambajar, and there was this big wall and a door. I didn't know what was inside, but I was doing the Alpona on the threshold, and suddenly the door opened, and inside was a 3-sided building, 4 stories high. And there was this gentleman, old gentleman, who said, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing Alpona. Will you do it? I have a Thakur Dalan. Alpona Devan. So I went in, and as I'm doing the Alpona, he's standing next to me and he said, you remind me of my mother, my sister-in-law, my sisters. I said, where are they? He said, they've all gone. There were 81 people living in this building. Today there's just me. And I said, what do you do all day? He was getting so upset. I said, what do you do all day? So he said, I write poetry. So I said, you write poetry? I even printed a book. I said, may I see it? I'll give it to you. Do you understand? All that came out because of the Alpona. The other 2 incidents I'm going to tell you. One is that I was doing Alpona outside a building. It said it was so old and so broken down that it said Bipojono Bari. Kintu Shamne ami jokhon Alpona ta dichhi, this was 5 o'clock in the morning. So kajer mashira, dudwalara ora jacchilen. And some of them stopped to watch me. And one told the other, দেখেছিস বিল্ডিংটা কি সুন্দর? They didn't talk about me. They didn't talk about the Alpona. They talked about the building. That's exactly what Alpona does. Yes, that is what Alpona in a wedding does. Because the wedding is enhanced. Everything becomes brighter, happier. So that is Alpona.
Are we going to have a live demonstration?
Yes. While
Soma can take over with the Sri.
Sri, okay?
Yeah.
It has not disappeared from our tradition.
No, it hasn't.
Every day in front of everybody.
I know.
It's not the lady of the house who does it, but the domestic head.
Okay.
She comes early morning, she sprinkles water, and as you said, plasters it with a little gobar jol, and does with rice powder.
Rice
Not
powder.
with paste. Paste is done only for occasions. We
No,
have rice powder.
rice paste is used. Okay.
No, just white powder. The paste, the softer paste is done only for occasions like weddings and pujas. But the rice powder is the everyday thing. And they use this dots, it's a mathematical concept.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It is.
Absolutely
It is
precise.
true.
And those domestic women, I don't know how, they don't know maths, but they know exactly how to draw the line.
Yeah.
True.
I tried to
that's
do
true.
it, but I couldn't. I floundered.
No,
And that's all dry. That's all dry. It's not wet.
They are using stickers now, which I think is so sad.
I know it's very
Yeah.
And the other day I went to a wedding where the Alpona was beautiful. I repeat, it was beautiful,
But it had.
but it had elephants. My mother to Shantiniketan Nandalal Bose মেয়ে যে গৌরী ভঞ্জ গৌরী মাসি শেখাতেন।
Okay,
maybe use Sri,
while
yeah?
Ratnaboli demonstrates how an Alpona is done, Shoma will do a Shri. Now, this is truly a vanishing art. I mean, I have done professionally, I have done wedding management work and wedding planning and all that. And to get hold of a person who can do a Shri is really, really hard. For the Shri, you need what we call kathali kola. It's a special kind of kola, that one. I have no idea why only that kola can be used and not other collars, because I tried to research that and I did not come up with any respectable answer. But only that kola is used for making the shree. There is rice powder, and traditionally, I think they use some dry colored powder in order to make the designs. Now, I think Shoma wants to do this with paint. Yeah, those are the colors, and I think Shoma wants to do that with paint. But the idea of a Shri is, and they put in turmeric, which is always auspicious, and Shindur, again, for a wedding, considered auspicious. And it kind of, once it is made, you will see, and I'm sure you've seen it already, it kind of stands like that, like a structure, like a cone. And this is apparently symbolic of goddess Lakshmi. So when we are creating that and when we are using that during the wedding, it is one way of trying to, invoke the goddess and, tell her to bless the newly married couple with prosperity and all of that. So everything actually, as I have studied about the wedding, I find that everything is very rural in its concept, and whatever is used is actually very easily available. In the rural sector, very, very easily available, and that is what they use to make all of this. So even for the Shri, now we are going fancy, like Shoma will show you how she does it with paint and all of that. But they used to use just locally, whatever was locally produced, whatever was available, like a kola, for instance. I mean, people used to do it even with, Play-Doh. Today's children use plasticine. So many things they do. But then, no, there is a reason why rice powder is being used, because it's agriculture, as Ratnaboli already mentioned. While the two artists are at work, there are a few other things that I would want to talk about. I don't know how many of you can see this. This is a commercially available Gachkoto. You go to any Doshakarma Bhandar shop. I never liked these. I found them really ugly. And I found them so common. And anything that's very common, I don't like. So when my daughter got married, luckily Shoma had gone to Benares and she brought this back for her. It's bigger in size, looks nicer. And my daughter, like me, is bigger in size. So it kind of suited her. That tiny little thing would have been lost inside her fist. When Shoma's daughter got married, she made this with the, these little strings all around. This is jodi. And this was actually made by her. I had a similar one. My mother had made it for me. I can't for the life of me find it. I don't know. Maybe I've thrown it away.
This is actually the matching sari. A sari was ready.
This one is, in fact, the gentleman who searched this shop for me is actually here today, Shantanu. He and Aditi, my very close friend, they had gone to Benares, and I had told them that I want some different looking Gachkoto. So they brought me this, and they brought me a longer, not so fat, but a longer version of it. This was actually required by a client. So I gave them the choice. They chose the longer one. And nowadays, I'm very happy to see there are lots of people who actually paint on this, and they look so beautiful. Really beautiful design, just like they are doing Alpona. Similarly, they've painted all around it and they look lovely. And some people actually follow themes. So if the central motive of your entire wedding is, Prajapati, the butterfly, which is a very common symbol in a Bengali wedding. So they'll replicate that all over the place. Or just an Alpona design, they'll replicate that all over the place. This is actually, Ratnaboli, this is not Shoma's work. This is actually available in shops. And I just got this to show you what is commercially available. I'm sorry. But these are customized. So this is actually, I'd done this for a client. The wedding card had this central motif. So the whole thing was done with the same colors, with the same motif, And even the dar gods which you see in front, those are also not what is commercially available. Those are the ones which are available, the one in the center. So that also I'd like to, make it look different, because that's what I'm talking about, the aesthetics of it. Anything that looks different, anything that looks nice, anything that looks attractive. So this one is again another kulo. Here is another one. And Boron, this is the kulo, and that is actually the dala. The Boron dala is actually used to welcome a daughter-in-law or a son-in-law, along with this Shri. So it's part of the process. You welcome the outsider, so to speak, into the family. Okay? And what does it include? So that's a diya. Okay? And obviously it's fire. So that's very, very symbolic. And it's supposed to be covered like this right through the wedding so that the fire keeps burning. Okay? Then, turmeric, antiseptic and auspicious. Kori, kori. Pan beetle leaf, beetle nut. Hottuki, I'm not quite sure what the translation is. What is hottuki in English? Nandini? No idea, okay. Alta, which women wear, the red one. Shidur, of course. Dhan, actually. Then there is, so interesting, during the Gai Holut, which is like the bath that is given to the bride and the groom, there is I have a photo of it, you can have a look at it later on. We put a kind of, there are four things made into it like a square, and then you put a string all around it, dipped in yellow. Now, all those strings, red string, white string, yellow string, what they do, and they put it all around it, so that it's all there in one place. Like, when we go to cook, we will put all our, whatever we need for that particular dish, we'll put it into one plate, and so we can use it together. So everything that is required for the ceremony goes into that Boron Dala and Boron Kulo, all in one place. So the matchbox, the ghee, the mustard oil, the wicks with which the diya is lit, everything stays there. So it's very convenient to just take it out. And what I found extremely interesting as a study is that A, it is practical, B, it is organized, and C, it is all readily available. You don't have to make too much of an effort. You just have to find it in the local places. You don't have to make so much of an effort. Even now, we just have to make a trip to the Dashakarma Bhandar and everything is available for us. So it's a very, very convenient thing to do this. And another thing is, in all of this, there will always be a tiny little bottle of honey, because that's supposed to add the sweetness in the relationships that are now going to be forged. So, if it's a daughter-in-law, I only wish that it translated into reality all the time. It doesn't. But then, ideally, if you think about it as a thought, then I think it's rather nice that you put in that little touch of honey to add the sweetness to it all.
So the honey
never spoils.
Honey doesn't spoil, that's right. So symbolic.
And you put it in the ears?
Yeah, you listen to it, yeah. Now, I've already told you about the Gachkoto, a little more about it. This is also supposed to be something that we put next to the goddess Lakshmi, especially during Lakshmi Pujo. And what you put inside is shidur and a coin. And that stays next to the goddess. So again, we basically we go round and round Loki all the time, telling her to please come, stay, do what you like, take the coin, be happy, and bless us. That's basically the message. So that is another thing about the Gachkoto, and I found this interesting again. there is in Bengal, we have an East Bengal and a West Bengal divide. Okay? And that's translated into our language, it's Ghoti and Bangal. So the Bangal brides will carry this, whereas a Ghoti bride will have a kajol lota stuck in her head. And chelera, the groom will carry a jati.
The Ghotis wanted to put in as much silver and gold into their weddings.
Okay, silver.
The Kajol and the jati were made of
Silver.
Excepting in big families, sometimes the gold jati would also be there.
Yeah.
But these were made of silver.
So family asset.
Family assets.
Yeah.
For the Ghotis.
But even if you're looking at the kajol lata, kajol is supposed to ward off evil. So that too, I mean, everything kind of ties up. That we talk about nazar. So that is one way of, even for little children, you'll find them, with a little kajol tika. So it's the same thing, and
I must mention the Madhuporkir bati. Madhuporkota kintu diteই hobe. Madhupork is now available আমাদের হাটখোলার কাছে। চিত্তরঞ্জন মিষ্টান্ন ভান্ডারে আবার রিভাইভ করেছে। Madhupork is a mixture of দই, দুধ, মধু, শর্করা।
Okay.
এগুলো মিশিয়ে
So it's basically a dessert.
It is a dessert, কিন্তু পুজোতে লাগে, এটা তো দিতেই হবে।
But you give it to eat or you give it for what?
It symbolizes everything that is pure, that will stay.
Okay, like in a small bati.
Small bati,
Okay.
honey and everything in
Okay.
it. That will stay. Also, every pujo you need that. Madhuporkir batita লাগে।
Meanwhile, those of you who
is
want
actually
to, you can
used for any
take a
occasion.
peek.
It's not only that you have the Varundala,
No.
Shri
It's not just for weddings. It's for every
any
occasion.
occasion.
Yeah.
For Durga Pujo,
Yeah,
trees
everywhere.
for Nabo
Yeah,
and
yes.
for Annaprashan, Upanayan,
Everything.
And there's another thing before all these start, তার আগে কিন্তু before all these rituals start, the final few days, তার আগে কিন্তু আনন্দ নাড়ুটা করতে হবে।
But that
is again West Bengal.
That is West Bengal.
That
Huh,
is the.
huh.
Yeah, but
This
we're
tree is
covering both
also-
sides,
Yeah.
aren't we? Yes.
It is. I've seen the process of the Nanda Naru being made.
Actum.
It's such a ritual. The whole family
Absolutely.
comes in.
Absolutely.
All the women are get. It's really beautiful. The Alpona, I think, is ready. So those of you who can, from your places, you can have a peek at it, or maybe later on you can come. No, it's still not dry, so she can't lift it.
This is sort of dry. This is just motifs at random. For the wedding, you have the Dorpon and the Rajkundra.
Yeah. This is the Dhanet Chori, right?
আর সেটা লক্ষ্মীর পেঁচা আর সরস্বতী বীণা আর দোয়াল কলম, এটা ট্রায়াঙ্গল করা। আর এইটা আমি বোঝাবার চেষ্টা করছিলাম why I like Alpona, because symmetry কোনো ধার থাকে না।
হ্যাঁ, exactly.
স্পেসটাকে তুমি যেভাবে ফিল আপ করবে, বাট it looks apparently the same because you are using the same motif. So motifটা যদি একই হয়, তাহলে you can use it in whatever combination you want. It still looks symmetrical, but the flow is very important. So it looks, that you are feeling.
You can just give
That's
any
right.
of it.
No.
Is there a
Yeah, this part.
I was using, originally they used to use rags.
Rags.
I was using a bit of cotton wool, and instead of rice paste, I was using zinc oxide. The zinc oxide makes the solution.
A lot of people use a brush and post the colors also.
Yeah, you can use
Yeah,
brush.
you can use a brush also. Yeah,
I
of
did
course.
it traditionally.
This is the traditional one. Today the modernized version, and then today it's only not white. They use all kinds of colors. I have also talked about the Darghat with you. Another interesting thing, quite a few interesting things that have arrived from there. Ratnaboli talked about Amru Pallab. So that Amru Pallab is basically you dot it with chidur, and you put it, but there has to be water inside, because water is the sign of life. It's like the human body. So you can't have an empty got. You have to first put water in it, then you put the amrapollam, and then you put the coconut, the raw coconut on top. Now, the sheesh wala dab. And then apparently when you put in the Amir Pata and the Bel Pata, then you are also invoking Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwar. This I did not know. I mean, we've done Darghot forever and ever, but we did not know the Trinity who live up there. And then they are placed at the entrance of the house where the marriage takes place, or any auspicious occasion. It could be even a housewarming, Grih Pravesh, Annaprashan, anything. But right now we are only talking about a wedding. And there is a banana plant. There are 2 banana plants which are put there. And banana plants are fascinating because A, they are easy to get. B, they are the symbol of fertility. Always used for almost any occasion. And this is one plant where you use everything. The plant, the leaves, the fruit, every part of it. When it is raw, when it is ripe, when it is, it's such an interesting plant. I mean, I never thought, I'm not a big banana fan anyway, but then the fact is that it is so interesting.
So healthy also.
They are apparently equated to Dev Guru Brihaspati. This I did not know, planet Jupiter and Lord Vishnu. The last one that we have left on our list is the Pan Pata. While Soma is finishing the Shri, we can maybe talk about the Pan Pata as well. Traditionally, the bride would come out covering her face with Pan Pata. There were no decorations on it. Okay? Nowadays, people have gone really fancy and they have little Alpona designs drawn on it, and I loved the idea. It looked so beautiful. I mean, not that the Pan Pata doesn't look beautiful, it is beautiful, but with additional designs, it looks even more beautiful. But what I found when I was studying about the Pan Pata, in the Skanda Puran, apparently the gods it's mentioned that the gods acquired the betel leaf during the churning of the ocean, to when you are getting the ambrosia. The principal reason that it is mandatory for pujas is that Hindus trust the betel leaf to possess different deities, and this is so interesting. Shoma, can you pass me one pan, please? Just one. Yeah, thanks. So, Shukra and Indra reside in the leaf's top portion. How they designate these areas amongst themselves, I really don't know. Saraswati is present in the middle. Mahalakshmi occupies the lower tip. For once, I think Saraswati has beaten Lakshmi to it. Yeah, and you could turn it around, yeah, of course. The part that bridges the betel leaf to the stem is home to Lakshmi. Lord Vishnu lives inside the leaf. Kamdev and Lord Shiva inhabit outside of the leaf. Mongolaya Devi and Goddess Parvati live on the left side. Bhumi Devi and Mother Earth lodge on the right side. And Lord Shudranarayan is all around the leaf. Can you imagine one little pan which we just put into our mouths and finished of our dinner or wherever we've gone? One little pan has so many gods and goddesses who decided to live there, around there, underneath, on the top, in the side. This is a wonderful lesson for prepositions. I think next time when I'm teaching my class, I will definitely do inside, outside, on the right and in the left, wherever. Wonderful. I mean, I was fascinated by this. I know. Yeah, just for a pan pata.
Why is the pan so important? Because it's a good digestive.
Yeah. And everything goes around it. Everything that is used has either an auspicious reason or a medicinal reason or a, like you said,
The
digestive.
auspicious reason comes from science. Some German scientist said Indians are most scientific, but they do not know what is science.
Now
I
you
just
finish
want
the
to
part.
add that, because
Yeah.
all Alpona
So
is
see,
done, I didn't know.
This is what happens when you finished it, or when you will finish it, and this is what it will eventually look like, And it takes an artist to be able to create something like this.
This was a
in
very
HV.
hurried job in any case.
Yeah, but it can be taller,
It should be taller.
maybe with more fancy designs, and that's what Soma does. She's got photos of it, which unfortunately I don't have.
Chili. And then to keep it for a few days, you need to pour mustard oil.
So that it doesn't dry up, so it stays
doesn't
this
dry.
way. Yeah.
What paint and color have you used?
I have used acrylic paint.
But what do you traditionally suppose?
Powder
These,
paint.
powder.
Those. Show her.
So the thing is that you actually mix it with the dough.
Yeah.
Green dough, red dough,
Yes.
and then you do the design.
Yeah.
But I did it the other way around.
Yeah.
I did the design and then I paint. Normally I do that. You're supposed to mix all this, like all these colors.
So the dough is colored.
Yeah. So you have a red dough, which will be one of these can be red. So with the red, yeah.
So, but I don't like these colors much. So, and it's not very bright. But in olden days,
For weddings, or no, weddings you not.
for everything, wedding, pujo, you use these. But now if they tell me to do, I use.
acrylic in weddings for you.
Yeah, why not? It's
No, I
paint.
was just asking.
Yes, acrylic. Because it stays longer. It's better.
Yes.
Yeah. Conical.
Much taller.
What is the significance of this shape?
That, did you do any research?
Yeah. I mean, because it's an emblem of goddess Lakshmi, so it has to be like that.
Pyramidal.
Yeah, it's like a pyramid.
Talking about Pankata, what is this?
Oh, this is so beautiful.
So I realized that, okay, the background has to be light. Yeah, that's gorgeous.
There are many other aspects that obviously we couldn't and did not cover. One of the most important and beautiful things about a Bengali wedding is the Tattwa. It's actually the trousseau, but it is done very beautifully in trays and very decorative. And shola. We use shola decorations to wrap up the trays once they are done, and the numbering is done. Ratnaboli's shared a Tattwa shuchi. That's another very beautiful thing that we do, and it can be, you can go creative in any direction that you like. Again, Tattwa shuchis are available commercially, not very exciting ones, not very pretty ones either. So if you create them yourselves, it's always different. What we also did not, we didn't have the bandwidth to cover it, is the decoration that is part of a Bengali wedding. The mondop, the place where and the other thing is, traditionally we always had shanai. There used to be a live shanai counter. People would sit there and they would play for hours on end, and it used to be so. It's my childhood memories of a wedding would be the smell of luchi bhaja and the sound of the shanai. Those were the two permanent memories in my head. And when I was really small, apparently I told my mother, "Okhane ki hoche?" And my mom said, "There's a biye bari." So I said, "Why aren't we going? Let's go and have luchi there." So Ma said, "We are not invited. We can't go." I said, "But why have they not invited us?" I mean, I was absolutely shocked that we live in the same neighborhood. Why did they not invite us? So those are the associations of a Bengali wedding. So there you are, the pan pata with which the bride can come. Just one little example of what it can look like. I began with food. I'm ending with food again. A Bengali wedding without food is incomplete. I mean, right from breakfast, it has to start with the whole family gathering. It's a very happy thing, when the family comes and there is in-house catering. And previously, when catering was not even a thing, it used to be the family members. We used to have cooks who were employed, and there were certain people in the family who would take charge. So they would go do the shopping, they would stand there and get the fish cut in the sizes that they thought was suitable. It couldn't be too big, it could be too small, it could be too big, but it certainly couldn't be too small. So all that, it was all done by the family members, and unfortunately that is gone. I mean, the caterers have completely taken over. So, that's what I always say.
VL
For the mishti,
yes.
that's right. So, I'd like to finish my part of it is with this, that the innovation is nice, as long as we remember our roots and we remember our traditions, because tradition is not about the worship of ashes, it is about the burning of the fire. So we can't forget who we were. We have to remember that. But with that, if we move forward and let other things come into our lives, into our culture, into our psyche, there's nothing wrong. And Dr. Das just now asked about the colored flowers. So I personally feel that, the other states of India, especially the desert states, they have a lot of yellow, orange. The North Indian states have a lot of pink. Those are their predominant colors. So those colors have invaded the Bengali, mindscape as well. And it's all okay. It doesn't have to be white. We have to move forward. We have to innovate. We have to allow ourselves to, for fresh oxygen to come into us. And that's the only way to keep things going.
Yes.
And I also began by saying that there is a lot of interstate weddings, intercultural weddings, and now so many of the Indian girls or boys are marrying foreigners. And foreigners love Indian weddings. They love it. They all dress up in Shah Rukh Khan clothes and they go shopping for their sherwanis. They are very excited to be part of this whole madness, and they dance to Indian Bollywood music, and it's so much fun. The kind of the joy that they emanate and the way in which they enjoy our Bengali food, it's such a pleasure to see. So while the wedding has become a very big industry now, I mean, there's a lot of money in it. Right from people who are doing decorations to trousseaux, to bridal makeup, to costumes, to the decorations, all of that. But it is also something that intensely remains a family thing. There's a lot of love, a lot of familial bonding and all of that. And those few days pass too rapidly, and it's a lot of good memories are created. And then later on, we are left with the photos and the videos to share with our families and remember the good times. If any of you have anything to ask, suggest, comment, anyone has anything to say?
Actually, our Gai Holud was always with white sarees and red border. But now that has been totally changed to
Yellow.
Yellow and red.
Absolutely.
Not only the bride, the whole family is in
family.
yellow. Yes.
Family.
And
Yes.
guests are in yellow. That's the theme.
And the
Yeah.
men also wear yellow
Then also
kurta.
yellow kurtas
Yes.
and all.
Yeah.
So that Bengali tradition is almost gone for Holdi color.
Yeah.
I thought maybe in white sarees, yellow would have become prominent. But now you cannot see Haldis in your sarees or in your attire. Only on face.
Yeah, and that also the bride, the whoever is going to do her makeup sends instructions about not to put too much haldi, because
yes.
then the makeup will get spoiled.
Yes.
And so she goes around saying, "Hey, mukhena." All that goes on. Yeah, those are things that.
Ideally, it was because the bride should look bright.
Yes.
Basically.
With the
And fair.
haldi, you look
Because
Yeah.
Holdi makes
glowing.
you yourself bright.
You
Glow.
glow.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll share another experience I had. Lake Market in Pichone, there was this rock, সেখানে একজন বুড়ো ভদ্রলোক. He was sitting over there, very unkempt looking. And I came to do the Alpona, and he said, "কি করছেন?" So I said, "Alpona দিচ্ছি." "দেখছেন না আমি বসে আছি?" "না মানে আপনাকে তো ডিস্টার্ব করছি না, আমি এদিকে করছি." So করছি. কিছুক্ষণ বাদে he said, I'm looking at Mother and I'm saying, he's sitting there. So Mother went up to the gentleman and said, Sir, if you will move a little bit, তাহলে দুদিকে সামঞ্জস্য থাকবে। ঠিক আছে, তখনই জানতাম। And he went and stood behind me. So I'm doing the Alpona, I finished it. And it is অনেক ছবি তুলেছি। কেন? লোকাল কাউন্সিলরকে পাঠাবো। So I said, local councillor, আপনি কি কমপ্লেন করবেন? না, বলবো অন্য পাড়ার মেয়ে, আমি তো মেয়ে, অন্য পাড়ার মেয়ে এসে আমাদের পাড়াটা কত সুন্দর করে দিল।
Yeah, well, that's the power of art, I think. It's not just Alpona.
Yes.
Art elevates. In any way, art elevates,
That's what
and
I
I
was
think
trying to
that's what we take away.
Many years ago, at a wedding, Bengali wedding, when the Tattwa was being sent from the girls' house to the boys' house, there were two fish on a big tray.
Yes.
And there was a dhoti and a shari put on the two fish.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was so outstanding that I just couldn't take my eyes off that. I said, no.
The north also.
Yeah,
It was totally decorated.
The feet too, all that.
Yeah, if it's a female fish, yeah, if it's a female fish, it was everything. The mukut was there for the
done
dhoti.
now.
Dhuti.
I've never seen a male fish.
Yeah, dhuti.
I've never seen one dressed like a male. I've
Yeah,
never seen
it's a
that.
dhuti and a topor.
Dhuti pore no?
Dhuti and a topor.
এটা হচ্ছে বেয়ার শেপের
With the topor. Okay,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
I've never done. Oh wow, this is so interesting.
There was somebody had asked to come today, but it clashed with something else. Professor Shomi Risha, and he told me about the male and the female fish in Bengali Muslim Aiburo bhats. It's customary to have the male, actually a male fish and a female fish, and dressed accordingly. Yes, and they have that,
You
know.
mean cooked fish?
No, the raw fish.
fish.
And dressed raw, but it has to be a male fish and a female fish.
This I've never seen.
Yeah.
I'm pleasantly surprised. I see you never stop learning.
Yeah, Shamir got married in Murshidabad, and he was telling me about this. You know, I wish he was here today, but he has a lot of interesting stories about this.
If any of you want to see these beautiful displays which are here, there, everywhere, please feel free to do so. You don't have to behave like seated audience anymore. I think we are kind of done with whatever we had to say. Thank you very much for coming.
Rice